Where we left off, we now pick up here on From Day One.
No, you're not welcome to speak. Once again, look at the Constitution. You have a right to represent yourself, and you have a right to be represented by counsel, not anybody else. And if you don't have that procedure in place, you don't have a trial.
No. Why not? We live in America that we are supposed... See, the government is to be governed by whom? See, I must ask you a question, which I want answered in a very... What? The government is to be governed by whom? Do you know the government? This is in the Constitution. The government is to be governed by whom? I'm asking the judge.
This is so frustrating. Meanwhile, while he's trying to get the civics he never learned in school, you've got 12 jurors who are sitting in a room, bored out of their minds, paying babysitters, doing their constitutional duty as citizens, and sitting on jury duty. And they're all sitting in this room with, waiting for him to get done with his irrelevant questions.
I'm asking you, please. The government is to be governed by whom? Do you know the answer to this? It's in the Constitution. You raised your right hand and took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Will the hearing continue, or the trial continue today?
The trial will continue today, yes.
It will, okay. Without him here?
Yes.
Now, can I ask one thing? Because we raised, when I say we, I mean, I know you.
Again, this is a minor point, but, I've practiced, I'm licensed in Illinois, but mostly in Chicago, and you can't wear hats in court. If you wear hats in court, I've seen a bunch of times, the judge will say, you could please take your hat off, and if you don't, you'll be held in contempt. And now, they might have different, standards, and that's fine. It's not like something that I'm that hung up on, but it's hard to watch this with people walking around like they're in their living room.
Should you're commanded to know the Constitution, did you or did you not raise your right hand and swear to uphold the Constitution, not just of Montana, but the supreme law of the land of the United States of America? Did you or did you not? Yes. So my question is, do we or do we not read within this Constitution, the government is to be governed by whom?
By the people.
By we the people.
Yes,
I am we the people along with others here. And we are standing on this foundation trying to resolve what has been lost, what has just been blown apart by unlawful people enforcing unlawful color laws, which they don't have jurisdiction to do.
A jury trial is not your venue to express your grievances. There's lots of places for that. You can the public square, the internet, your legislature. There's lots of things you can do to push for change. But a trial has to proceed with decorum. Otherwise, we don't have a justice system.
No laws that are to overwrite and overrule the Constitution of the United States of America. And that's exactly what's happening. We can't even defend ourselves. We come in here trying to express and trying to, tell the jurors what's going on, because they've been brainwashed. They've been manipulated by the mass media, by all these corrupt politicians. And I'm sorry when I say corrupt, I'm saying it because I have a love for my country. I have a passion to defend what my great-grandfather shed blood for. Our freedom, our God-given inherent rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Ernie was trying to express one thing and one thing only. We have a right to travel freely from point A to point B unencumbered.
You do not.
And that right is being stolen every single day.
Judge, if I could, this is not a political forum for discussion. There are issues that are being raised by the gentleman or more appropriately addressed in the legislature. This is the executive, and it is enforcement of laws as adopted by the people who were elected by.
Well, I don't want to object to that. Put on record. There's
no objections here. Give me the same courtesy I just gave you. Okay. I understand exactly what you're talking about. I am not only an attorney, I have a degree in what you are arguing, in political science as well, which covers the U.S. Constitution forward, backwards, and sideways. I understand you have a different point of view. You would like to see a different set of laws be applied. The place to do that is Helen.
No, it's right
Because-
here.
no.
We're facing what's going on with
This
Ernie
is
right now.
This is a court of the.
Well, obviously, we're in totally disagreement with you.
Gentlemen, we're going to proceed.
You can argue under.
You can stay here and watch. You will not be allowed to comment. Or you're free to go.
Try to abstention.
Yes, he's going to be trying.
We, the jury, having been duly impaneled and sworn to hear and try the above entitled criminal case, now make known in open court our verdict as to the charges to the complaint charging defendant with a violation of Montana Code annotated 61-112, driving while suspended, a misdemeanor. We find the defendant guilty. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you very much for your service. You are excused.
Well, God bless America. They came to the right conclusion, and I think they did a good job. It's kind of neat from that perspective. I guess I'm fairly patriotic. You watch this, even when it's messy. They did a good job. My only knock on them is they should have staffed up to help the poor bailiff. Other than that, they got through it. The jury came to the right conclusion. Of course, he was driving while suspended. You know, we didn't go through the trial. It would not be very exciting, especially once he was taken out. You know, and this guy had his day in court. He ended up being held in contempt appropriately so, but he got to go and put on his garage sale sign, whereas Davy Crockett had apparently, which would not be allowed where I practice. Hi, this is Attorney Mike Gravel coming to you from the defendant had a crazy outfit. Here we are all over again, and the defendant does it again.
On page 5, Jesse Steele.
You're only on Davenport, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney for the state.
Aloha, ma'am. My name is Jesse James Steele. I'm a Kanaka from the Lo'i, residing in the Ahupua Wainiha and the Moku of Halilea here on the island of Manokalani Po.
First, I love that his name is Jesse James Steele, and then he goes off with all this Hawaiian stuff. And I don't know anything about it, but he sounds legit. I mean, he's got an accent that sounds Hawaiian to me. I mean, I wouldn't know any better, but he sounds legit. He probably is of native descent in Hawaii. This is Ollie from the Sovereign Citizens Patrol, and I just would like to remind you to hit like and subscribe. Mike is really a nice guy, and I am totally not saying this under duress.
I'm a living human being, a sovereign individual. I am here out of respect for you, but not as my legal authority. I would like to point out that everyone in this courtroom is equal. Only Keakua, only God has the ultimate authority. This court has no subject matter jurisdiction over me as a Kanaka here in the Kingdom of Hawaii, the Polynesian Kingdom Te Moana Nui Akiva. I would like to give this court and the state prosecutor the opportunity to dismiss these false charges against me with prejudice at this time.
I'm kind of torn here in the beginning. This whole notion that he's giving the prosecutor an opportunity to dismiss the charges is silly. The prosecutor can dismiss the charges anytime they feel like it. They certainly don't need an opportunity given them by the defendant. Also, the dress, which is, I think, completely inappropriate for court, does make sense for him, though. He's basing his argument on being indigenous and that you know, some old squabble from back in the day that they don't have jurisdiction. That is well settled, and it's a loser. But the native dress thing does match the argument that he's trying to make.
Can you step forward, please?
Ma'am, do you acknowledge my position?
I acknowledge what you've presented to the court and recognize you.
Okay, well, I will enter into this area of the court, but I do not honor any boxes or claims. I shall enter knowing that all here are equal and that this court has no jurisdiction over me as a Kanaka from Maloli here in the Kingdom of Hawaii.
This is interesting too. This seems to be a universal with the sovereign citizens that they think they can't enter the well of the courtroom, or the court magically gets jurisdiction, or they have to have some grand discussion of it prior to doing so. I think the judge handles it well and just doesn't try to make a huge issue out of it and lets him spout his stuff. Of course, the court has jurisdiction whether you enter the well of the courtroom or not. They can try an abstention, and we'll see that that's precisely what happens as this goes forward. But just with a little different flair, he's holding the shell, which is kind of cool and very Hawaiian. But it's the same sovereign citizen stuff.
Mr. Davenport?
And Your Honor, the state is ready to proceed. I provided...
You've heard the request. First of all, you heard the request.
Yes.
Are you prepared to honor that request?
No, Your Honor. The state will proceed towards trial. The state is ready to go to trial. I have provided Mr. Steele with a copy of the witness and exhibit list, as well as the copy of the one exhibit the state plans on introducing today. I left that at council table.
Okay. The prosecutor has indicated that he will not dismiss the charges. The case is set for trial today. He's ready to proceed, so we will proceed with the trial.
Well, I cannot accept these charges until I see a contract or a treaty of annexation that would prove this court has lawful jurisdiction over me as a Kanaka from Maloli here in the Kingdom of Hawaii.
This is interesting too. He does the usual sausage stuff about a contract and there's no jurisdiction, but there is a layer here that's a little more interesting. And I don't know. And if anybody does know, please tell me in the comment section below. There were indigenous people in Hawaii that I don't know if they've carved things out, like for instance Native Americans with tribal land, so there may be some tribal set aside here. I doubt it. I really don't think that's the case. I just think he's a U.S. citizen and he doesn't want to follow the law. But there is a layer of complexity that I'm not sure of. The judge doesn't seem impressed by any of it.
Sir, this court has jurisdiction over you. I'm not going to get into a discussion about your Hawaiian heritage. I've had other people before this court in similar situations, and I respect who you are. However, this court does have subject matter jurisdiction to hear this charge.
Oh, no, this court does not.
Sir, I'm not going to get in an argument with you about it. We will proceed to trial at this point, and you may participate in the trial, and if you choose not to participate in it, that is your right to do so. But call your first witness.
I would like to inform you guys, inform you, Judge Silverman, inform you, State Prosecutor, as well as the sheriffs and any other law enforcement. If you guys continue these acts of war upon me and my lahui, you guys may be subpoenaed into Article 3 U.S. Supreme Court for violation of war crimes under the 4th Geneva Conventions and under U.S. Constitutional Law, Article 18, Section 2441.
Oh, I always think it's over, but there's always something new. Here he's threatening them with war crimes under the Geneva Convention. That's rich. I don't know what the theory is. He cites the Constitution and Geneva Convention. I guess he's going to file a complaint and have them tried in The Hague or something. I don't know, but I really like the judge. She doesn't have any of it. She basically gives him a "so noted."
Okay, we'll take your warning. You ready?
Your Honor, I understand that the witness exclusionary rule is in effect?
Yes.
And I'm not sure if Tachibana applies to violations, but...
I'm not sure either, quite frankly, but I'll do it just in case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you intend to call any of these people in the courtroom as your witness in this case?
No, ma'am.
Okay. He can have a chair to sit.
No, thank you. I'm good standing.
sure?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Then, Your Honor, at this time I will rearrange the defendant.
Yes, please.
The State of Hawaii charges on or about the 8th day of February 2017 in the County of Kauai, State of Hawaii, Jesse Steele did intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly operate or use a motor vehicle upon a public street, road, or highway of the State of Hawaii at a time when such motor vehicle was not insured under a motor vehicle insurance policy, thereby committing the offense of driving without a valid motor vehicle insurance policy as a violation, in violation of Hawaii Revised Statutes, Section 431:10C-104, subsection A.
Okay. There's a couple of things that I need to advise you of before we commence with the trial. If you are not a citizen of the United States, whether or not you have lawful immigration status, you have the right to receive advice from an attorney about this specific impact that this case will have, if any, on your immigration status. The entry of a guilty or no contest plea, admission of guilt or sufficient facts or conviction, deferred judgment, or deferred sentence may have consequences of immediate detention, deportation, exclusion from admission to the United States, or denial of naturalization pursuant to the laws of the United States. In some cases, detention, deportation from the United States will be required. You are not required to disclose your immigration or citizenship status to the court. Now that I've provided you with this information about possible immigration consequences, you may request additional time to consider, well, you're not giving a plea, so if you needed additional time to look into this matter, the court will grant it to you. Do you want additional time?
Again, I respectfully ask the state prosecutor and this court under quo warranto to provide a treaty of annexation that would lawfully prove the state of Hawaii and this court has jurisdiction over me as a Kanaka from Lolo'i here in the Kingdom of Hawaii.
Sir, I heard your request before. It's not going to be provided in these proceedings, okay? So you don't need to keep asking that.
We cannot continue.
We can continue.
No, we cannot.
If you do not want to be here, that's your prerogative.
Oh, he's getting serious now. He's reaching for his shell.
But sir, this court has jurisdiction, and we can and will continue this matter.
Please provide me proof that this court has jurisdiction. Please, ma'am.
You are a citizen of this state, this county. I understand that. You're that as well, okay? But you're also residing here, and this court has jurisdiction because you were driving here, but you wouldn't have had this charge unless you were driving here.
The driving on the highways is the ala law. Your guys' highways is on our kingdom land,
Sir, I'm not going to get in an argument with you about your Hawaiian heritage and the jurisdiction of this court.
I can conclude in a law that there is no contract with me or no treaty of annexation proving that this court has legal jurisdiction over me as a Kanaka from Lolo'i.
Probably not, but it's also not required.
Therefore, we have nothing further to discuss. Have a beautiful day. Aloha.
Aloha. So call your first witness.
Your Honor, State calls its first witness, Officer Jonathan Anderson.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear and or affirm that the testimony you're about to present will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat and state your name for the record.
Officer Jonathan Anderson.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we continue, I'd like to state on the record that the defendant was present in the courtroom. He asked that the charges be dismissed. They were not dismissed by the state. The state was ready to proceed with this trial after discussions about Hawaiian heritage issues. The defendant walked out of these proceedings, and the court has decided to proceed with the trial in absentia of the defendant, and the state has now called it first witness. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so the trial proceeds. It's a one-witness trial. The prosecution does a nice job under the circumstances. A little sloppy on laying foundations, but there's nobody there to object, so it was fine. And I'm just going to move it along to the very end. The interesting part to me was that he does, in fact, have a license, and that the officer testified that he produced a license, but he did not produce proof of insurance.
Say rest.
Based on the testimony of Officer Anderson and the exhibits that we received into evidence, the court finds the defendant, Jesse Steele, guilty of the charge of not having motor vehicle insurance in violation of HRS 431, subsection 10C-104. The court imposes the following mandatory fine of $500. Fees of $7 for driver education fee and $40 administrative fee, and there will be, since there's no proof of valid insurance for a period of 6 months, there will be a 3-month license suspension effective immediately. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Another sovereign citizen gets convicted. Some commonalities that are interesting. In this case, it's the crazy dress, but this makes more sense if he's trying to work that angle. The guy in Sovereign Citizens number 8 just dressed like a crazy wizard, had nothing to do with Hawaii whatsoever. That was kind of funny. The other thing is they don't like to enter the room, and they prefer to stand for some reason, which is kind of strange. But if you do want to see the rest of the trial, it was just, for me, it wasn't very interesting. It was just a witness who said, yeah, I pulled him over, and he produced a license but not insurance. Although it takes a long time because they're laying foundations. But I'll put a link to that in the description below to the original video if you want to see the whole trial. The whole thing's only about 12 minutes long or something like that. Here at
Alrighty, with that, thank you, Mike, for both the afternoon and the evening tonight. We're finishing this final fight out, and we'll call it a day here on From Day One. Have a great night.